Okay, so I won't go diving too deeply into this because I could spend an hour just talking, but the vagus nerve, some of the things that we'll kind of learn a little bit about how to take care of the vagus nerve today. If you're unfamiliar with the vagus nerve, it is your 10th cranial nerve. It's the word vagus means wanderer in Latin, and it's aproposly named because it's the only cranial nerve, the nerve from your cranium that leaves your cranium and goes into your body. So there are branches of it originates in your brainstem, your medulla, and it has stems that travel to your ears, to your mouth, to your tongue, to your eyes, to your heart, to your lungs, to your all of your organs below your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is actually innervated by the phrenic nerve, not the vagus nerve, but the vagus nerve is responsible for a lot of attunement for most of your vital organs. So it's obviously a really important nerve. About 80% of the nerve fibers are from body to brain. And so most of it is kind of like feedback from the body to the brain to tell the brain how to regulate what's happening. And most of the fibers are also parasympathetic versus sympathetic. So if you remember, the autonomic nervous system has these two branches, and the parasympathetic is where we rest and digest and kind of slow things down and allow for a lot of healing. And the sympathetic is our get up and go when we have to, run around and be busy and give our energy to something. That's our sympathetic drive. The vagus nerve does both, but it's mostly a parasympathetic nerve. It's really important for the heart. It innervates the nodes of the heart that regulate your heart rate. If we didn't have the vagus nerve, our heart rate would be like a runaway train. The vagus slows the heart rate down. So it's the brakes. So whenever we need to speed up our heart rate, like we're, doing something very active, our vagus nerve like kind of lays off the brakes and lets the heart rise up. And then it lays on the brakes when we need to slow the heart rate down. So a lot of times, when you vagal tone, so you want any nerve in your body to have good tone, but the vagus is really important to have good vagal tone because of how important the nerve is, that it innervates so much in your body. So when we have a healthy vagal tone, we have the ability to regulate between states very easily. So if we have to hurry up and then we need to slow down, or if something stresses you really quickly and then you need to calm down, the vagus is responsible for those variations in our ability to adapt and respond to stress. And not like necessarily the huge stress, but even just the everyday stress. Like now I have to get up and do this, and then I'm going to sit down and do that. So the vagus allows us, if we have healthy vagal tone, we have the ability to oscillate between nervous system states very well, and we can recover very quickly. And obviously this is really important. And then also it has a lot to do with inflammation, and organ function. So there's just so many aspects of good vagal tone that supports our health and well-being. And if we have poor vagal tone, we can have a myriad of problems go on, from inflammatory responses in the body to difficulty regulating our blood pressure and our heart rate and all sorts of other things. So it's really important for us to keep our vagus toned. So how can we increase our vagal tone? There are a lot of things you can do, and our yoga practice in general is very good for increasing vagal tone. I think, you've all heard me talk about the midline squeeze. Like if you get dizzy when you stand up, a lot of yoga is this like down, up, down, up. And when you are in Uttanasana and you come to stand, and you suddenly get a little lightheaded, or maybe you just stand up from your chair and you tend to get a little lightheaded, this is a sign that your vagus nerve is not kind of responding quick enough. So your blood pressure and your heart rate change too rapidly. So squeezing to the midline is one of the ways that we can help stimulate the vagus nerve. So you can squeeze your legs, you can squeeze your hands. A very traditional way is the Valsalva maneuver. And that's when you pinch your nose and you hold your mouth and you try to exhale, but you can't. And it, pops your ears, and you can kind of bear down at the same time. And this is something that can regulate your heart rate and your blood pressure if you tend to have that oscillation of feeling dizzy when you get up. So simple things like that can help us through our practice to keep our vagus tone well. But on a maintenance level, so that's like the emergency things that you do if you suddenly feel like your vagus nerve isn't working properly. But if we want to learn how to create good vagal tone over time, one of the most important things we can do is learn how to breathe well. So the long exhales, which I'm constantly talking about, stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is where the vagus nerve likes to live. So if we can steady our breathing and get into either rhythmic slow breathing, like 5 to 7 breaths per minute, or lengthening your exhales, having exhale retention, breathing through a straw so that you have to breathe out really slowly, breathing through pursed lips so you have to breathe out really slowly. All of these breathing techniques will help to tone your vagus nerve. And we'll do some of this today. Another one is closing off the little flaps on your ears and humming. This is very stimulating for the vagus nerve. It's called bee buzzing breath, Brahmani breath. Or Brahmani, I think it's Brahmani breath. But you hold your ears shut and you hum on the exhales. Very good for stimulating the vagus nerve. Some things that don't have anything to do with yoga that you can do daily to help your vagus nerve is cold water immersions. And that doesn't mean you have to go all Wim Hof and, submerge yourself in an ice bath, but having cold water on your face, finishing your shower with some cold water, drinking ice cold water, putting a bunch of ice cold water in your mouth, maybe with an ice cube, submerging your tongue and swirling it around with an ice cube and then swallowing. The vagus nerve travels right next to your esophagus. So the cold can stimulate the vagus nerve, as can things like chanting and singing and humming and laughing, smiling. All these things are very good for the vagus nerve. And then when you brush your teeth, you can gargle at the end of brushing your teeth, and that even the gag reflex or the gargling will help you stimulate your vagus nerve. And then gentle pressure on your eyes, just kind of putting some gentle pressure on your eyeballs can be very helpful as well. From an asana perspective, really all movement is going to help you stimulate, but especially like getting used to this up-down movement that we talked about earlier to help regulate, but also rhythmic movements, spinal movements, things like pendiculations where you squeeze and release and squeeze and release. And then of course, restoratives, which are so good for stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. So that's just a little bit, about the vagus nerve. There's so much more to be said, but I don't want to spend, the whole hour talking about the vagus nerve. So hopefully that just inspires you, even if you caught just one little thing that you'd like to try to have some maintenance, just like we, walk every day for maintenance of our bodies. We also can do some vagal nerve stimulation to help us gain better vagal tone for our health. Myriad of health, so much good health comes from vagal tone. Okay, so does anybody have any questions before we get rolling? Anything? All right. Okay, so let's sit up straight and tall and take a moment to be comfortable. So, you can stretch your legs out, you can lie down, you can stand up, you can do some jumping jacks if you want to. So whatever is going to help you be here now. One thing I didn't mention at all was this concept of the polyvagal theory, which is a theory of stress response really in the body and how we respond to traumatic events. And when we feel safe in the here and now, when we have the ability to feel regulated with self and others, we come into this beautiful, it's called the ventral vagal complex, but it's a part of our sense of eudaimonic well-being where we are content and at peace. And of course, this is one of the goals of our yoga practice daily, is to come into this feeling. So you might want to keep your eyes open if that's helpful. Sometimes naming things in the here and now, getting very present, even through your vision, can be very helpful. But if you want to have your eyes closed, that's all right too. All right, so allow your awareness to sink down, settle into your bones. Let's start with this very simple task, maybe not easy, but simple task of a rhythmic slow breath. Don't worry about counting. Don't worry about extending the exhales. Just see if you can find your way into a slow rhythmic breath pattern. Notice what frees up and opens to allow this to occur. Is your diaphragm mobile? Are your shoulders relaxed? Can your face soften? As you start to get to know this pattern for yourself, scan your body for hints of tension that you can surrender. Let's place our hands, let's warm our hands first. So rub your hands together. And place the palms gently against the eyes. And see if you can get just the teeniest bit of pressure right on the eyeballs instead of just the sockets. And kind of manipulate the heel of your hand in there. Very gentle, not a lot of pressure, but enough. And, maybe your back is hurting from sitting and you need to just kind of stretch your spine a little bit while you're here. Try to be comfortable. Just a little bit of pressure on the eyes. Come back into that beautiful breath. And then release the hands. And let's open the eyes and bring your hands onto your knees. And we're just going to round the spine and arch the spine. Just coming into a little moment of a seated cat-cow to release any tension we have in our vertebrae. Moving and breathing. All right, and then find your way back to your seat, and we're going to give some stimulation to our ears now. So you can do this a few ways. You can stick your fingers in your ears. You can put your finger over the ear flap and kind of press down on it, whatever is comfortable for you. We're going to hum on your exhale. So just a few breaths of a normal, beautiful inhale and a slow hum on your exhale. And then when you're ready, you can release your hands. And the last little breath we'll do here is to just breathe out as if you are breathing out through a straw. So some long inhales and even slower exhales through pursed lips. Or you can take your fingers to your lips if you want to help you initiate that feeling of breathing out through a straw. Nice and slow and steady on the exhales. When you're ready, you can return to just that slow rhythmic breath. Both inhale and exhale, slow and steady. Now, we didn't do very much of this at all. You could do this a lot more. Just notice if you feel different. You feel grounded, centered, and calm from something as simple as just working with the breath for a few moments. Place your hands together. Feel that centering of the midline. Offer an intention. And release your hands. And let's go ahead and find our way onto our back. Okay. All right, so as you stretch out and lengthen through your body, let's do our normal, just arms overhead stretch and just enjoy. Relax for a moment. Stretch out your limbs like a star. And we're just going to pediculate for just a minute. There's not much movement in this one. There's lots of things you can do this, but we're just going to squeeze everything we can squeeze and then release everything we can release. Make sure you're breathing while you do this. So you don't have to be any specific movement. You just want to feel that you have enough space in all your limbs where you can feel your limbs. You can take fists and squeeze them. You can pull your toes down. You can pull your toes up. A couple more times. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. All right, bring the knees into the chest. And rock a little bit. Rocking is yet another way of stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. So if you have a porch swing or a rocking chair or just rocking like this, and you can rock top to bottom or side to side, think about the ways that we all naturally soothe babies. Think about the ways that children naturally soothe themselves. We lose some of this instinctive capacity when we get older of how to self-soothe. And this is very much part of stimulating the vagus nerve, is that learning how to self-soothe quickly when a stressor arises. Okay, let's circle the knees now. Breathing well. Circling the other direction. Opening up your hips, circling the third direction where our knees come away from the midline, and come back in toward the midline. All right, and then we're going to do a slightly different kind of vibe of the rhythmic moving. So we're going to bring our right knee in, and then our left knee in, and then our right knee in, and then our left. And you can go a little faster or a little slower. Find your pace. This is one of the reasons why going for a walk or a swim or a run is very good for calming our nervous system down. We get this left, right, left, right, left, right. And this is also a really good skill to help us regulate our nervous system states. All right, and then reach out to a star. Stretch your limbs. Let's roll our ankles. Let's roll our wrists. Put a little bit of mobility in there. And then a big stretch out and squeeze. Hold your breath for a moment. Squeeze your face, your glutes, your arms, your legs. And then relax. Bring your knees into your chest. Take another deep breath in. And as you exhale, pick up your head and squeeze all your air out. Hold your exhale and squeeze. And then relax. Put your feet back down onto the ground. And let's windshield wiper our knees, left and right. Okay, finding that sense of a little bit of rhythmic movement. So we're just moving from left to right. Nice and steady. You can move your head in opposition. Okay, let's roll over onto our side and come up onto our hands and our knees. So if you're having a particularly stressed out day where you're having a difficult time getting back into that nervous system state, then try some of these simple techniques that we've laid out here for the vagus nerve. The breathing is probably the easiest. The rhythmic movements of the body, rocking in the body, pendiculations in the body. All right, so just feel that sense of movement through the cat-cows. Opening up a lot of fascia can also be very helpful to let us feel that we are adaptable. All right, so move the body around any way you want. You can roll around in your shoulders, move around in your hips, sway around in any fashion that feels good. All right, back to child's pose. Walk the hands out in front of you, inch your way forward. Find your shoulders, your ribs, and breathe. Let's walk our hands to the left or right and feel that grounding. So can you feel both the balance of the stretching open and freedom of breath, but also this sense of deep grounding? So remember that the vagus nerve travels through your head, it travels through your thorax, and it travels into your abdomen. See as you breathe, if you can have some stimulation right now in your thorax. Come over to the other side. Let your breath oscillate and let your body move with the breath. So notice what changes position as you inhale and changes position as you exhale. Feel that your breath is your movement. Back to center, up onto all fours. Flow about in your spine again. And then inhale, lift that arm up. Exhale and slide the shoulder down, twisting here. Feel the shoulders move away from the ears. Let your head relax. See if you can turn your eyes up toward the sky and then down toward the ground. We'll do a little bit of eye movement today too. Up toward the sky and down toward the ground. This is another way that we stimulate the vagus nerve is by moving our eyes. Go ahead and lift the arm up. If any of you have worked with some EMDR, eye movement. I forget what it stands for, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I think that's what it stands for, but I could be wrong. But basically, it's a form of somatic therapy to help with PTSD that uses left-right hemisphere work in the body, and in particular with the eyes. So you can do eye movements, moving from one side to the other with a therapist, working on different issues. And sometimes it's little paddles that you hold in your hand. There's lots of different ways of doing it, but we're moving from left to right hemisphere in the body. So trying a little bit, eyes up, eyes down. And then reaching arm back up to the sky, hand down onto the ground. Come up into dog pose. So as you lengthen and find dog pose, maybe take a few rhythmic movements, just even simply with your ankles. You know, you can kind of drop your one heel down and then the other heel down as you bend the opposite knee. So just a little bit of pendiculation, even just simply here with your legs oscillating from left to right. How's your breath? Feel into that rhythmic, slow breathing. Feel free to make sound. So when we hum, when we chant, when we sing, when we vocalize, this is very stimulating to the vagus nerve. So feel free to as you exhale. You're all by yourself in your house, make some noise. Okay? Heart lifting toward the pelvis, feel the reach in the body, the yield in the body, melt your skull. And let's walk our feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Wag your tail, shimmy and shake, let things loosen and soften, bounce a little bit if you want to. All right, come to a halfway lift. The spine grows long and spacious. And then melt and fold again. Head is soft. Drop your seat, rise up, arms coming to the sky. Reach back. Now, if this is what I meant by the midline squeeze. If you tend to get dizzy when you come up, that happens to me sometimes. You can do a few different things. You can squeeze your hands to each other. You can cross one thigh over the other thigh and squeeze your thighs. You can also try that Valsalva maneuver where you pitch your nose, pitch your mouth, and with nothing to leave your body, try to exhale with pinch nose and mouth, which you can bear down at the same time as doing this. All these things will help you pick up the pace of the vagus nerve and get your blood pressure back. Okay, so deep breath in, rising high, lean back. Let's cactus, open the arms, enjoy a big open heart, and then reach the arms up again, and bring your hands down toward the ground. All right, with 2 feet on the ground, let's practice some eye movements. So you can do this. Let's try doing it first without moving your neck. Okay, so eyes up toward the sky. Make sure you're breathing, eyes down toward the ground. We're not moving our head. Eyes over to the left. Eyes over to the right. Try not to strain the muscles around your eyes. Eyes up. Eyes down. Go the other way. Eyes right. Eyes left. Now move your head with it. Lift your chin up. Imagine a roll tile behind your head. Look up. And then chin down, look down. Back to neutral, turn your head left, eyes all the way over, back to center, eyes all the way over to the other side as you turn your head back to center. Relax your eyes, inhale, let your eyes follow your movements, up to the sky with your arms, exhale, and float down. A halfway lift. Spine is spacious. Exhale and melt. Seat down, rise up, arms to the sky. Exhale, float forward. Halfway lift, spine is long, melt and fold. Last time up, bend your knees, rising up. This time, exhale, we'll stay down. No more rising up for right now. Halfway lift, melt and fold. Step your left foot back. Right foot is forward, coming to a lunge. Extend through your spine here, finding this movement. Let's move rhythmically, straightening the front leg, tuck your chin, pick up your toes, bend your front knee, look up, open your chest, look up. Head back and forth, rhythmic breathing, rhythmic moving in the body. Move with your breath, be patient, wait for your breath to take you to the next movement. Find that rhythmic movement of the breath. Next time you get to a lunge, ground. Feel that sense of earth below you. Rise up, arms to the sky. Find your breath. Exhale, press forward. Rising up. So just practicing some of this different changing positions to gravity, which taxes our ability to regulate our heart rate and blood pressure. This is good vagal exercising here. Press forward one more time. Arms up, let's stay. Rhythmic breathing. Maybe a straw-like exhale. Soften your gaze. Hands come down, back foot comes forward. Fold here. Let your neck relax. A halfway lift. Melt and drop. Step your right foot back, left foot forward. Rhythmic breathing, rhythmic moving with breath. Straightening the front leg, drop your chin, look in toward your heart. And your knee, lift your chest, look up toward the sky. Move rhythmically with your whole body and your whole breath. Remember, our breath is living in our diaphragm. When you get to your lunge, pause there for a moment, ground yourself, root down, and then rise on up. Feeling that sense of extension, if your upper body allows, arms overhead, otherwise hands in a different way. Find your breath, let's move here. Inhale, reach up, exhale, cactus, and press forward. Inhaling, rising, exhaling. One more time. Maybe when you come back up, you look up, extend upward through your heart, breathe deeply, ground your legs. And then let's bring our hands down, dog pose. Come back. If you want to bend one knee and then the other, if you want to be still, whatever's working for you, find your way into your breath. Come forward into a plank. As we hold this and regulate our stability, can you still feel that rhythmic, beautiful breathing that you're doing? All right, put your knees down, find the ground, roll the shoulders a few times. Feel into that range of motion. Loosen up all your fascia back there in your shoulder blades. Inhale for a cobra, look up, Exhale, look down. One more time, rising up. Melting back down. Up onto all fours. Swish around in your spine. Right leg behind you, left arm out in front of you. Spinal balancing. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, look at your knee. Let your eyes move too. Inhale, bring the arm and leg out. Exhale, bringing it in. This is that cross lateral work. So good for us. Inhale, bring it out. Exhale one more time. Find that flow of breath. Reach that arm and leg out in front of you. Hand and knee come down onto the ground. Prepare for your second side. Left leg out behind you, right arm out in front of you, thumb up, toes down. Integrate your core. Find that rhythmic breath. Exhale, look underneath you. Elbow and knee come toward each other. Inhale, let your eyes move with your head. Some really steady breathing here. Stabilize through your core. Let's do one more. Hand and knee down onto the ground, child's pose. Roll out your wrists. Find that rhythmic breath again. Come up to dog pose. Long, spacious spine. Changing position. So we're upside down. We change positions a lot in yoga. It's really good for us. Right, reach your left leg straight up in the air. Exhale, knee to your chest. Look forward a little bit. Inhale, look at your navel, leg up in the air. Exhale, look forward, knee to chest, shoulders over wrists. One more time. Finding breath. Slow and steady. Put that foot down onto the ground. Dog pose. Full breath in. Complete breath out. Make some noise. Right leg lifting. Exhale, knee to chest. Look forward a little bit. Inhale, bring that leg up. Look up. Exhale, knee to chest. One more time. Leg up high. Back to dog pose. Walk your feet forward, come off your wrists, shake out your hand, shake your wrist. Hands on blocks, a halfway lift. Refine that rhythmic breathing if you lost it. Hold. Drop your seat, rise up. Exhale, trace down through the midline. Decide whether you need a little bit of pressure against the midline or no. Breathing well. Let's practice a little bit of that straw breath or long exhales, however you manage it here. Feel your fullness of, so you don't have to have your hands together, you can, but feel the fullness of belly breathing, rib cage breathing. And on the exhale, slow release. Let's take our feet as wide as the mat, so you can turn your toes out a little bit. We're going to do some squats here. So arms come up, and then we're going to exhale and come to a squat. Move with your breath. Do anything you want with your arms. Twice more. How's your breath? Changing positions. Hang out here in the squat. Adjust your feet, elbows inside your knees. Breathe well. Hands back down onto the mat, stretch your legs back, dog pose. Full breaths here. Come forward into a plank on your next breath in. Lower yourself down, knees can come down first. Inhale, any back bend that you want. Reach up, engage the back body. Exhale and release. Come onto your belly, stay on your belly. And we're just going to do a version of locust pose. You do not have to interlace your hands behind you. You can have your arms down at your sides instead, if that feels better. We're gonna lift up and feel your breath. So as you breathe in this pose, let your diaphragm move your whole body. The pressure of your belly on the ground is very stimulating for the vagus nerve that's living all through your organs, innervating all of your organs in your belly. What a wandering nerve this is, traveling to your liver, your spleen, your gallbladder, your pancreas, your intestines. All right, relax and melt. Okay. Now, most of you have done this with me before. I like to do this on a wood floor. I can't right now because I don't have the room right here in my house. But we're going to move. So what we want to do is roll onto our back and then back to front. So if you're unfamiliar, we're going to take our left knee up toward our chest, our right arm over, and we're opening up onto our back. And then coming back to center, bring the right knee up, left arm crosses to the right, and open up to a twist on our back. Now you don't have to do this super fast, and it's a little bit differently than how I've done it before with you. You don't have to segment the positions out so much. We're going to do this way, and then we're going to do it one other way. So we're just getting used to changing positions, rolling from one side. So you just need to bring that knee up so that you can twist over onto your back and then back. And just getting used to kind of a rolling, twisting vibe in your body. Right. Now find your way when you're ready onto your back. Now this is easier. Same concept that we're changing positions from our back to our side. So if you're unfamiliar with this, look at me for a moment. We're going to stretch out like a star and then let your right knee kind of climb up toward your armpit and roll onto your side. And then slide your way back open to a star and then roll over to the other side. This is the one that feels way better to do on a wood floor because you slide a lot easier. Look at me for just a moment if you're unfamiliar. Try not to do this. Try not to pick yourself up and pull yourself onto the side and pull yourself open and then pull yourself over the other side. We want to have this be very slithery, where you're not using a lot of muscular effort. We're really just letting our soft body be how it wants to be. Make sure that when you do this, You're breathing and letting your body open and letting your body close rhythmically and softly and fluidly. I highly recommend wood floors with nothing around you, no props to touch, nothing to get in your way. No, it's very fun. You know, when I first keep doing it, when I first learned this, I think we did it for like 15 or 20 minutes, and it was kind of beautiful. So, you know, we don't do it that long in a yoga class, but if these things intrigue you, carve out time to just be fluid in your body and not have an agenda of I must do 20 squats and I must do 5 push-ups and I must do, you know, have this many sun salutations. See if you can sometimes let your practice just evolve like an amoeba, floating and having no bones about you. Onto our back now. Take your block under your pelvis for a restorative version of bridge pose. So it can be on the low, middle, or middle height. And if you want higher than that, stack 2 blocks on top of each other. So you don't have a lot of time for restoratives, but remember, restorative practices are a wonderful way to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. The vagus nerve is almost entirely, 80% of it is parasympathetic. 80% of it is body to brain. Okay, so the pathways of the body telling something to the brain. So it's very receptive and it's very adaptable to nervous system states. So let's feed the parasympathetic system here by breathing well. Those long exhales, a full inhale, and a long strolling at sunset exhale. Of course, you can put your legs up in the air if you'd rather kind of move your way into a version of Viparita Karani. So whichever way you want to be. Slow and steady breath. Right, let's put your feet down on the ground if they're not already there. A simple twist, hips over to the right, knees drop left, turn your head all the way to the right, even your eyes, let them gaze down. Knees coming back up, shift your hips the other way, drop knees to the right, turn your head all the way to the left, eyes turning to the left. How's your breath? Come back. And we're going to set up for your favorite variation of Supta Baddha Konasana. Now that might be on the floor with hardly any props, where you just have a block underneath each leg. So remember, this is the soles of the feet together. The knees come out to the sides and support underneath your knees. Now this is the simplest way probably, but if you have props and you like to do the more full version, you can have props supporting you. If you have 2 blocks and 2 blankets, you could have a block in heart bench, 2 blocks in heart bench like this, where 1 block on the middle height, 1 on the low, and put a blanket over there for your head to and body, your torso to rest on. and your other blanket can open up really wide and roll like a snake. And this will give you a long tool so that when you come down and rest your spine and head on those blocks, you can take the other blanket over top your feet and then tuck the sides kind of underneath your legs, kind of right, right outside your hip joints or lower down toward your knees, whatever feels good. So whatever, work with the props you have and in the way you want to be. Once you're in the position, arms can be anywhere you want. They can be overhead, they can be out to the sides, they can be down at your sides, they can even be crossed over or hanging on, fingers crossed and hands on belly. So find the way. And once you do find your way, let's open your throat. Maybe take your hands and just give yourself a little bit of a throat massage, nice and gentle, stroking your lymph and your vagus nerve from right below your jawline down to your collarbones. Kind of find some different pathways. Don't be afraid to go right on your trachea, just light touch, right on the sides of your trachea, all around through the sides of your neck. This is great to stimulate the lymph moving back toward those ducts that are right at your collarbones. And also it's very stimulating. Remember the two branches of the vagus nerve, we have one on the left and one on the right, right next to your esophagus. So you can just do a little, you can start from your jaw if you want. You can take your a V of your index finger and middle fingers and put it behind your ears and in front of your ears and just massage your ears a little bit. Just giving your vagus nerve a little, nerves like massage, just like muscles like massage. Don't ever think that when you're massaging muscle, you're not also massaging blood vessels and lymph vessels and nerves. And then maybe finally you can take your finger pads at your forehead and just kind of come down around the sides of your eyes, whatever feels good around your eyebrows, and trace down to your collarbones. And lastly, if you want to repeat, putting a teeny bit of pressure on your eyeballs. See your arms down. Before you fall into the deep rest of this posture, let's take a couple of deep breaths and or ah, or make some sort of soft vocalization from your throat on your exhales. Try different tones, different pitches. Ah. Sense the posture. You can stay here for all of Shavasana, and if you want to do Shavasana lying down in a different position, change your body to a different position. Once you get to a place that you want to be, let your body fully surrender into the ground. And if you have any props touching you that are annoying you, push them away. If you're cold, get warm. Turn to the feeling of melting, yielding, giving all your weight from your head downward, to your shoulders, your arms, your spine, pelvis, thighs, your lower legs, your feet. And your breath come in fully and deeply. Breathe well. Again, melt on your exhale, all your breath out. Maybe a full stretch with a little pendiculation. Maybe very simply rolling your wrists and ankles or turning your head and your eyes from one side to the other. So just find your way out of Shavasana in a way that feels good. Very slowly over to your side. And up to a seat. Let's finish the way we started with this simple set of a couple of breaths where we're just breathing rhythmically and slowly. Hands to your heart. Let's offer our practice, share your energy, send your love and kindness to another. Namaste.